Fast Track Money YouTube live session. And this week I am back. So in the last
Welcome
few
back.
weeks, in the last 2 weeks, Matthias has already talked about like educate your children and the other topics. And I hope you really enjoyed that. And today, if you are joining us for the first time, some of you from YouTube, some of you from Facebook. So my name is Yasi. I'm the creator and founder of Fast Track. So it's a podcast platform. So I also blog. I also invite different guests coming over to my show. We talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about career, and we talk about money. And Fast Track Money is a collaboration between Fast Track and Financial Imagineer. So it's Matthias Richter who is behind Financial Imagineer, also a blogging platform where you can learn all the tips and tricks to help you imagineer your life, your financial life. So today we are going to talk about your salary, not just about your salary, how much you earn, but we want to explain to you why your real salary or your real hourly rate is actually much less than what you think it might be. It can be shocking, but you can do something about it. So, yeah, so welcome to the show. And then let's start.
Thank you, Yasser, for the nice intro. So what we are talking about today is the real hourly rate. So you may think, if you have never heard about that, well, come on, I get paid like $50 per hour, $20 per hour. What is the real rate? I know exactly how much I get. So wait a minute. Here are some things you may not consider, and we today want to cover that to show you that there is like opportunity costs in holding a job in terms of your time and also in terms of money that you have to probably consider as well to make better decisions going forward. How you want to eventually plan your future, your job life, your professional life. And so usually you probably think your hourly rate is the monthly salary simply divided by the number of hours that you work. But in reality, there is much more behind that. Your real hourly rate actually could be as low as only 50% of what you think it may be. It may be even lower than that, depending on your setup. Most people, like I just mentioned, they are familiar with their hourly wage, but there we start to add things. So you could probably start with, okay, I'm in a sales job. I have to wear a suit. I have to commute to my work. Because of my job, my kids need to go to a daycare center that costs something. And because of my job, I have to stay late sometimes to socialize. I have to spend money to have drinks with people. All these things, right? And today we want to show you how you can actually calculate how this works. So what do you think are probably your hidden costs? You can always make comments here. This is an interactive session, and we will try to respond as good as it works. So probably we start with showing you a calculator. There are calculators that can actually show you how little it could be. And for that, I want to
Sorry to interrupt a little bit.
Yes.
I just want to make sure if everybody really sees us, because I get feedbacks from our followers that some of them did not see the video. Somebody is seeing the video. Can you just say you can hear us and see us in the chat? Let's just give it a second. Someone in the chat? I think then if nobody's seeing us, we have to restart.
I think it's fine.
Oh, okay, great.
Everything good.
Okay, we have Cindy here. Great. Thank you so much for your feedback. Sometimes technical error do happen. Yes. Sorry. Please continue.
No problem. So I would like to share my screen for that. And then we can actually see how this plays out. So I use a screen sharing here with something. I will put us a little bit smaller. So sorry, you will not see us as big as anymore. So you can say now, okay, I want to have, let's say you have 80,000. I use Swiss francs here. It could be dollars. It could be anything else. I maybe zoom a little bit in here so that you see this a little bit better. You see here 80,000, which will translate to a monthly wage of 6,667. Weekly is 1,500 plus. Daily, yalla, 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 right? Hours per week, you have 40. So this is actually as easy as it goes, right? You can actually see, you would expect this is 38 Swiss francs or dollars that you get per hour. But now, if we switch to something else, which is this here, so we can actually go back again and say, okay, now you get paid 6,667, and you get paid that monthly. You have 12 months, right? Number of workdays per pay period you have per month, roughly 20 days, right? This is 5 times 4. Number of paid work hours per workday. Let's assume you work 8 hours, and here you see minutes of unpaid breaks per workday. Yalla yalla. You can actually amend that yourself later. And if you click calculate, you see later how it is. So what you can do now is actually you can deduct some things here, and it gets interesting when you start to say, okay, number of let's say work-related commute time per workday. So let's say you have to commute 1 hour, and commute 1 hour, you probably spend 60 minutes. Let's just put, no, you actually spend 120 minutes, right? 1 hour times 2. Minutes spent getting ready for work per workday. Okay, that's maybe for some people who have to dress better. They have to do makeup, all that. Let's just imagine you need maybe 30 minutes to prepare. Minutes of unpaid breaks per workday. Okay, you have to probably deduct that. So let's say 15 minutes you can have a break times 2, maybe 30 minutes. You can play around with that, right? This is something that might be different for all of us. So the work-related miles you drive, here you can actually see, later you can deduct the mileage, the car depreciation, and so on. We just leave this at 40. Other work-related transportation costs per workday, that could be if you have to pay like your parking lot, right? Let's say in Singapore, the parking lot sometimes costs a lot. You can actually spend as much as $500 a month to have a parking lot there. But let's just say you have maybe $5 per day. Maybe daycare in Switzerland, this is very expensive. Per kid, you can easily spend like, I don't even know, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 per month. Because here we have it also per pay period, let's say 2,000. Dining out expenses, you want to socialize, you have to drink some beer or like have to go for lunch, socialized lunches. Let's just assume it's $30 per day. Unreimbursed work-related clothing expenses per month. Here, yeah, your suit, your anything to look nice, you probably put in here, okay, that's per month. You don't have to buy them all the time again, but let's say 200. Union dues depends, right? Office gifts per month also depends. And then at the end, you see your real hourly wage is maybe just $16 instead of 38. So that's about half. I hope anyone listening or watching us could follow on that. I will stop the screen sharing here.
So in general, the rule of thumb is that I also did my calculation in an article that I wrote about your real hourly rate is actually half of what you think it is. So based on your calculation, it is also true. So if you are interested in finding out what is your real hourly rate, might as well do this a little exercise, and then you might be shocked.
Yeah, and the thing is now, why is this important? Why is this something you should know? It is important because If, let's say, you have to make a decision whether, if you're a couple, two of you go to work, or you want to do a different job that pays maybe more, but it requires a little more extras, you have to take into consideration the whole package. Please also consider the taxes, for instance, right? Sometimes if you are asked to move your location, you may have to pay more taxes. Or if you commute to other places that are further away, you have to pay more. The making of an impression is a cost, right? Clothing costs, uniforms. Some jobs actually require you to pay for a uniform. Ties, since like almost 5 years, I never wear a tie anymore. All these things, right? And these costs is not something that you would incur if you wouldn't have the job, right? So it's because of the job, because of work, you have to pay these costs. So in some cases that I know, it sometimes makes sense that if you have two partners, one of you stays at home, the other one goes to work, because if two of you go to work, it could be that actually you lose, not just from the tax perspective, but it's actually very weird. And then it's unfair, probably, right? You could say, but on the other side, it's just something you should think through before you make a decision. So maybe I would like to take this chance to ask the audience, what do you think? Did I miss something here? Do you have some costs of because of work, for work that we didn't mention here? Would be interesting to know. Please type in the comments.
Usually there's a long delay.
Yeah, I think we have a 15-second delay. So if you write, don't despair.
Earlier you mentioned that about the clothes to, like, you have to wear certain clothes to work. I think for people who work in offices, it's not a requirement, but somehow you just feel like, oh, I like to wear nice clothes to work. Like I like to buy nice shoes or nice bags. But, you know, even though it's not required, you can buy I don't know, like a normal jacket, but then you prefer to buy more premium ones because you are going to this job and meeting these clients. That's all associated costs regarding, you know, that you have to invest in order to make a income. So it's a little bit counterintuitive that you have to invest in order to earn some money from that.
Yeah, it's the cost of fitting in, right? So depending what kind of job you do, you have to make this appearance. And well, it's also something that you show your value, right? Some employers, they will be feeling weird if you wouldn't dress up for your job. So it's a give and take, right? And then, of course, you can also say you get paid more if you need to make an appearance for that purpose. That's usually what employers will say for that.
It's pretty true about fitting in, because like say the Starbucks latte effect is that if all your colleagues go out for coffee, if everybody's like, okay, let's grab a coffee from Starbucks downstairs and have a chat. Would you like say, oh, okay, I will just grab a coffee from the office, then I go with you? Or it's like, oh, I don't need to drink anything, but let's have a chat. It's weird, right? Like it's very difficult to do that. But if everybody is doing that, somehow you are kind of forced to have this extra spending because it's associated to your job, your colleagues, your like this mini breaks. Yeah.
The Art of Money Saving just said it resonates a lot with me. Work clothes are really expensive. Thank you for your comment. Yeah.
I want the Art of Money Saving. Like, do you buy your own like a costume when you perform? By the way, he's an opera singer. Like, that you are given the, you know, the outfits when you perform.
Well, in some jobs, you actually are given the outfit, but it will be deducted from your paycheck. So some employers give it to you, but you have to pay for it. So it's like you have to pay it first, right? But good, he's not going to Starbucks. That's the other thing. Well, there could also be an opportunity cost for not going to Starbucks, right? You never know if you don't go for Starbucks or if you don't go for the after-work beers. You don't know what you're missing out. It may be the the entry ticket for your next promotion, for your salary raise, right? So that's like the office games that people like to play there. So have to see. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, the opera. Yeah, sure. For opera singing, that should be for free, right? That would be weird.
Wow, 600 euro.
Holy sugar. Yeah.
Oh, it's tax deductible. Okay, at least.
So you're like as an opera singer, you're like kind of an intrapreneur, so to say. You work inside this, and you're like an artist, a performer, and then you get something paid, or is it more like you work for a company? So then you have probably your PLC, your private limited company on the side, and then you get paid like that.
Yeah.
That's good. So different professions, but yeah, definitely very, very interesting profession here. I have seen you singing on your video. It's awesome. I like your voice.
What do you think is the biggest the cost? Which part is the biggest cost associated to work?
Well, for me, I would say if you look at the big three, the big three are like the big three expenses everyone has, which is housing, transportation, and food. Number one, I would say if you want to have a higher paid job, you have to live somewhere closer to a higher paid area, right? So, and therefore, you could even consider living close to your company as a work-related expense, because you wouldn't have to live close to that city if you wouldn't work there, right? So that's probably where I would start. Number two, definitely transportation, the commute, right? So there you can go super cheap if you go on the subway or like bus, or you can have your car. It's up to you how much you want to spend there. Some people, they actually translate and find like a middle way. They say, okay, I spend more on my house, but I live in the city center, but therefore I can walk to work, right? And then you save the rest. Or you live very far away, then you probably have lesser costs on your housing, but then you have to pay more on the commute and food. Yeah.
But also time. I'd rather stay somewhere in the city center or somewhere near where I work, and I pay a little more rent. I save on transportation, but also time. It's quite precious. Yeah.
Now the time, we haven't even come to the time part. So that's the second dimension, right? So one is the financial dimension. The other one is the time dimension. Because if you think about, okay, I need to commute 1 hour to work. I need 30, 40 minutes to get ready for work. I have to be in the office before 8 in the morning. So I have to get up at 5:50. And then after work, maybe at 6 o'clock, you go out to have a drink, and then you commute back, and boom, it will be 8:30 or almost 9 o'clock by the time you're back. So is it really a 9 to 6 or 9 to 5? No, it would be, for me, it would be a 6 to 8 or 9, right?
Yeah.
And then you see how much time your job can eat into your daily life. Right, it's a little bit like.
What's worse is that depends on where you work. I used to work in my office is in the industrial area, so it's very far away from city center, and then there's even not enough buses or MRT like trains. So you have to take the company shuttle, mini shuttle bus, and departures at certain time. So like 2 or 3 times in a span of 3 hours. And then the thing is, if I miss one, then I have to wait like 1 hour longer. And I cannot go anywhere. I have to like just might as well do some work. Or in the morning, if I try to take MRT and then bus and then transit a few times, go to work, that would cost me a lot of time. But most of the days, back then, I was not even aware of the whole calculation. Most of the days, I woke up pretty late because I came back home late, right? So I feel tired. And then I just cook dinner, I just watch some TV, and I relax, and I sleep a little bit late. And next morning, I couldn't get up early. So what did I do? I take Uber. So what's the result? I spend on Uber and also come back home. I spend more time. It's a time and money disaster situation.
Yeah. I could call it a clusterfuck. Sorry for the language. It's like an unintended clusterfuck. And and if you don't plan or are not aware of that, right, you actually this will or might become normal for your life, and then that's about how you go about your life going forward. And I think, oh yeah, last time I took the Uber, it saved me like half an hour. Like that's why some people defend their choice to take the Uber at the end, like because it saves them so much time. But then still, this time is because of the job, and boom, 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 right? So
that's right, because by Uber, it cost me, like, it takes about 15 minutes. 15 minutes. But public transportation is 50 minutes.
wow, yeah.
That's why I justify, oh, I save time.
Yes, and then again, right, you can calculate it back. How much money can you save? But then if you don't work for the rest of that time, then you that figure actually doesn't matter, but it's the matter at the end. It is actually the real hourly wage again. You actually divide your hourly salary or your take-home pay by more hours, and then at the end that number simply goes lower, and you deduct the Uber and everything. Just the example I calculated before, you see it's less than 50% with something that can happen very, very fast. And now you add more hours, maybe it's even less than 50% what you think you get. And I didn't even talk about taxes yet. That's another one, right?
But tax, the topic with tax is interesting because in Switzerland, it depends on where you live, right?
Correct, yeah. So
it's another dimension added to the...
Yes. And you okay, for people not very familiar with Switzerland, Jase lives in the beautiful canton of Schwyz, which is in central Switzerland.
You know how to review where I live.
Tax heaven. Okay, tax heaven. Okay, I live around Basel at the moment. So you have these places, and each canton have a different tax. It's like in the US, you have different taxes for different states, right? And if you actually commute a little bit further, you can go to a cheaper place in terms of taxes. But then again, you suffer with the time spent.
But on the other hand, I think, for example, I used to live in Singapore. There's really no difference in tax. It's just one country, city. But what's interesting is that most of the jobs are in the city center, right? The CBD.
Yeah.
So the further you live, the cheaper is the rent.
Yeah.
And also, if you take like MRT straight away from east to west, it's like a 40 minutes. Okay. I mean, like not the very east to the very west, but the east to the center.
Yes.
And then it could be interesting discussion. Like, you want to pay a cheaper rent, live somewhere further, but with the convenience of MRT, or you want to live in the city center, walk to your job, and close to all the shoppings, restaurants, more temptation in spending.
Well, yeah, and it's a personal choice, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's not a black and white thing. It's the 50 shades of real hourly wage. You have to see where do you fit in, what works best for you, and at the end, it's a very personal thing. If you have kids, you probably like to live more in the green. If you're a young couple without kids, you prefer the city life. It all depends, right? And at the end, what I think where this real hourly wage is very important, it comes when you actually are between jobs, or when you think, should I switch to that job, or should I start something on myself, or should I do some like big changes in life? And they're actually looking down at comparing the real hourly wage for option A, B, and C. It could be very, very revealing, and maybe this could be something a lot of people don't even consider when they switch jobs. So that's where I think this is a very easily overlooked thing to make a decision.
What I find the calculation interesting is that if you put it on piece of paper, you see how much you earn per hour gross. And then you see, okay, from your salaries, how much you spend on transportation. If, like option B is, if you don't have this job, do you need to spend this? So if not, okay, you put it there. Your coffee, you put it there. Your Uber, you put it there. Your, I don't know, your clothes, your bags, your shoes, you put it there. Your makeups, everything, right? And then you will see that, okay, if you don't change jobs, if you don't change canton and tax regime, how can you increase your hourly rate? just by reduce the spending, right?
Simple, yeah. Simple, but not easy.
Easy is like cutting Uber away is kind of easy. Like there is a public transportation.
Yeah. But then you spend more time again, right? And then at the end, maybe you still have more free cash flow available to yourself. But you could also think like, what can I use the extra time for? Should I build a side hustle? Should I do a website? Should I do an online business? Should I spend some time flipping some items on the internet? I have some friends, they do Lego trading or Pokemon card dealing, right? Things like that. And then you can justify spending that time for something else. But if you just sit at home and do nothing, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You can say you have a dead weight lost anyway for your time.
I find there are so many things you can do on public transportation. For example, I'm talking about the ones that is stable on time, so you don't have to keep looking like, am I missing my stop or anything? What you can do, you can do grocery shopping. Like I do all my grocery shopping when I was on the MRT. I just have it on my phone, and I always have this items in my basket, and I just buy it again. So all my grocery shopping are done when I was on the train. And then this one, I like it. This headphone. This is my second one. So my transport, like I spend 15 minutes each way. So one day, 100 minutes if I don't take Uber. And I listen to like audiobooks, and I finish 100 books in 1 year.
Wow.
100 minutes of listening to books, and every single day, Monday to Friday, like you can really finish a lot of books, and then plus 1.25 times. So not
you listen at extra speed, yeah.
Yeah, extra speed. So you can do a lot of things. And
I was even planning my podcast to listen on the train before. And yes, Tony. Hi, Tony. Yeah. Tony from the Budgets and Brews podcast. Hi there. Thank you for clocking in. So yeah, carpooling, you can actually even, you can count that under networking instead of having drinks, right? And you can actually, well, in Singapore, I had a very senior boss at my company, and he had to drive home anyway with his car. So he actually offered his ride. And at the end, he got paid for taking other people home, which was awesome, right? And he could even see who is coming, and he could make choices there. Really, really cool. So carpooling, it is one thing to drive together, right? The other thing is to sell your ride, sell your time and your ride.
So how many of the audience, if you are watching this live or replay, what do you think your real hourly rate is? Is it 100% on your hourly rate, or it's 60% or 50%? If you are watching this and did your calculation, leave a comment below in the video, and let's hear about what everybody's result is. Maybe we have like an average 50%.Maybe we find out on average you really just earn half of what you think you are.
It would be very sad. Huh? I think for my example before, 50% is quite likely.
I did my calculation, but not on my case, but it's another realistic assumption is also 50%.
Wow.
Yeah. But what I learned from that is that you have to be aware of what you are spending. Like there are a lot of expenses are not really necessary, but there are this kind of misconception that, okay, now I get a promotion, I deserve a better suit. Oh, now I have this achievement, I need to buy a bag. There are certain spendings can be reduced or avoided. Then you can increase your hourly rate just immediately. Yeah.
Correct. Maybe for a conclusion, if there's any questions, now is the time. Please shoot for questions in the comments. I believe the conclusion for this is the real hourly wage takes into account both the cost for holding a job as well as for your time and effort to put into it. So it's one of the greatest tools to understand your real hourly wage, to compare prospective jobs, alternative working models such as working from home, freelancing, entrepreneurship, or maybe, if you have your high-paid job somewhere and you could be like the barista in your coffee shop nearby, maybe you earn half the money, but you have a lot of costs less then at the end, actually your take-home pay would be the same. You can think like that. Of course, like future estimated earnings, if you actually aspire to have a career and earning growth, you cannot consider that for the barista option that I just mentioned. But for depending on your life model, this is something really to look into. Some people don't consider that and simply overlook this. And for each individual worker, even two jobs that offer the exact same base hourly wage, both of your real take-home pay is very different because it's something very individual. So two people holding the same job, doing the same things, what they actually each take home at the end, after all costs, after all time, it will be very different. So maybe another thing is you can compare this with your colleagues, with your friends. You can share this video with them and then see, maybe you have some people that have exactly the same job like you, but they do much better. And then if you figure out, oh my God, my colleague actually has 70% take-home pay, I'm only at 50%, then you can talk about it. You can share this and see how you can improve, learn from each other, right? Tony,
and
one more comment.
When you put all the links in the, maybe we'll put in links in one of the comments so they can use it to calculate your own hourly rate. Maybe Anthony, you can use the link later.
Okay, yeah, the real hourly wage, how do you calculate it? Yes, so that's, you see what you get. And then instead of, let's say you have to be at your job from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, you have to calculate when do you start getting ready for your job at home. So maybe that's 6:30 in the morning. And when do you get home and can really let go of your job, right? So that's probably not 5, that's maybe 7 o'clock. So you have the time component. And the number 2 is all the expenses. And the expenses, simply you deduct them from your take-home pay. And at the end, so you have your salary minus the expenses. So the part that is left, you divide it by all the hours that you spend to hold your job. And then you get your real hourly rate. And as Yasu said, I will put the links in the comments. So
working from home has already increased a lot of people's hourly rate, I think.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. So understand this concept and you will be able to make much better decisions and improve your life. That's why we felt this is a very good topic for today's session. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to click subscribe on the YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, or follow us on our blogs. Check out Yasu's podcast with a lot of awesome shows. She just has 2 new shows I want to listen to. I didn't have the time yet.
And the Art of Money Saving is also, he is here, but he's also one of my guests, and you will listen to his episodes. Next Tuesday, it will be released. So that will be an interesting opera singer turned personal finance enthusiast. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you very much for coming here, leaving comments, join us if you're watching this replay. No problem. We will also interact with you either on YouTube channel, Fast Track, and then in the playlist, Fast Track Money, or on Financial Imagineers Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And if you want to learn more about how to, manage your personal finance, how to save smartly, how to earn more while you are still young, and then how to invest. And then we have developed a course together. It's called Fast Track Money Course. It's for the ones who are in the early 20s to early 40s. So for those who are late 40s to 50s, this course might not be for you, but we might have something designed for you in the future. But this one particularly is for young professionals who still have the time in their life to save, earn, and invest in the best way possible, which Matthias Richter, you have already brought a lot of your personal experience into this course, and we designed in a way to make it very easy to understand. But if you decide not to learn with us, it's also okay. You can watch our YouTube lively show. You can read articles on his channel and my website. You can listen to podcasts where I interview people talking about how they, manage their money. Those are all free content. So we just hope you to educate yourself, because
for free content, shall we share? We will have a free webinar if you are interested.
Oh yes, this one. Yes, please.
It will take part April 8th. Maybe we also put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
free webinar. And next week we will be talking about something completely different. It's about how to profit from big trends.
Next week, YouTube Live is how to profit from big trends. Yeah. And the next week, Thursday, we talk about your net worth. So it's a free webinar, 1 hour long. You can register it. I'm sure we will leave the registration in the links down below. There you will learn what is net worth, why it's important, and how you grow your net worth. Yeah. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoy.
Tony, no worry. Tony apologizes. He was late. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, Jasse.
I hope see you again, Tony.
Yeah, please tune in again. Nice to have you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.